Hi, I'm John Twist of University Motors. Today is the 2nd of July, 2013. I want to talk today about the Midget 1500. You know, the Midget started off as a Bug-Eye Sprite, and it only weighed about 1,400 pounds. And throughout its history, it keeps getting heavier and heavier and heavier. We got big rubber bumpers on here by 1975. We've got a cast iron engine, the cast iron gearbox, Triumph components. On the running gear, we've got reinforced doors. Everything has become dramatically heavier. And the front suspension, which may have been okay back then, isn't anymore. So it needs frequent rebuilding. Let me show you. Here's the arm off the front shock. Here's the bolt that goes through the shock, and there's a bushing at the top of the kingpin. This is the, if I can turn this, which I can't because it's, oh, there it goes. Here's the kingpin from, you know, that sits behind here, behind the dust cover. And the top of the kingpin is held fast and held straight up and down by those bushings. Well, over a period of time, those bushings fail. So there's a bolt that goes through here, locks, and then there's a bolt which goes across that bolt and holds the whole thing in place. What happens over a period of time is that top bushing on both sides fails and the kingpins roll in at the top. So we got negative camber and we're towed out really badly. Let me show you what happens here. Look at this tire, okay? Holy Toledo, okay? So really, really horrible from that negative camber. So these always have to be changed, I mean on a really regular basis. Other things that you can note from this car is that the boot is missing from the tie rod end. You sure you don't want to have that drop apart or get crappy while you're driving it. And you can see that while we're working on it, we've supported the brake caliper with a great big hook, because the hose that holds the brake caliper is not satisfactory to allow just the caliper to dangle. Now, working on the front suspension on the Midget in some ways is easier than working on the MGB, because the spring pan, which sits underneath the front coil spring, is held in place with 4 bolts, 2 outbound, 2 inbound. And you can drop those off, the spring pan comes out, the spring comes out, and now the whole thing is flexible and you can work on it without having to fight the spring tension. So just as a matter of course, now let me see where the, we're gonna go find the front hubs. So we found the front hubs. I've got them here on my nice clean workbench. And you can see that they're all popped apart. But this is of no concern. They can pop apart. These can't be reused because the inside of the races are buggered up, and the brass cage that held the balls, that's screwed up too. But when you go to pop this guy apart, he necessarily pops out the front. That's how you can get him clean, and that's how you can grease him. So the fact that he's fallen apart is not a bad thing at all. It's just a natural thing. You can take an old bearing and put a lot of grease in it, put the balls all back in place, and put this on the tabletop and give it a crack with a hammer, and it pops right back together. The important thing is that when you put this back in the hub, this is the inner bearing, this is the outer bearing. You can see they're different sizes, okay? And on one edge of the hub it's pretty narrow, on the back it's kind of thick. Same thing here, we got a thick side and a narrow side. You want to make sure that when you're putting those into the hub that the thick sides come in first. Because if you put it on like this, the hub can pop off because nothing's holding it in tight. So sometimes it says thrust side on it. The thrust side goes towards the middle. So always make sure that when you're putting these back together, it works. Now, some people will choose to put taper bearings on the front of a Midget. It's not a bad deal, but remember there is a spacer on the inside of the original Midget. and that made up with the inner races of the bearings and so forth, gives you like a double wall, a double thickness, and makes the front end more sturdy than it would be otherwise. Although I don't think in a street application, I've never seen a front suspension snap. Racing, whole different story. Anyway, so that's the guy here. Rebuilding the kingpins always requires new A-arms. So if you go to do a front suspension, a complete front suspension on a Midget 1500, you can blow, oh my gosh, you can go over $1,000 in a jiffy. Okay, so, but keep these bearings, these bushings, keep these refreshed. This is your secret here for doing it well, and make sure you grease the front end all the time. They're not up to carrying all this weight, so they need lots of attention. I happen to be in Corvallis, Oregon. I said Washington in a recent video. I was corrected online by that, but I'll be in Corvallis, Washington, the 18th, 17th through the 20th at the big MGB meet there. So if you're in the Northwest, love to see you. Till then, safety fast. Well, I thought we were done, but no. Dayton said, oh my gosh, what's that old car? And here we have a TC, must be I don't know. It hasn't got an ID plate on it right now, so I can't tell you, but we serviced this car first 30 years ago, and I guess the guys decided it needs more service. It still has the MOT stickers on it from Natal province, South Africa, dated 1979. With the RSA AA sticker on the front, the Automobile Association sticker. So you know the stuff, the car's local, it didn't come from South Africa. I mean, not directly here, it came, apparently it went to Germany first and then to South Africa. So if we have people in South Africa who are watching, who used to own this TC, the new owner would love to know who you are. Anyway, hey, safety fast.